Okay, guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over in depth what CSE, child support enforcement, is. Right there on the front there, we got what we're going to be covering. Who controls CSE? Let me get this out of the way. What is CSE's power and limitations? What is court-ordered power and limitations? And how does CSE system compare to court-ordered system? So let's just go ahead and get right started. I don't want this one to be too long today. All right, so who controls CSE? All right, so the state of Florida via the Department of Revenue. Uh, as I go over this process, I'm going to repeat myself a lot, but it's just so everybody can understand how it works. So again, CSE is a third party that was created by the Department of Revenue for the state of Florida. Okay, the Department of Revenue created CSE to essentially enforce child support for the state of Florida. Thus, is why it's called child support enforcement. Moving on to the next bullet, it says CSE was created by and is a branch within the Department of Revenue. Just like I was stating, it is a branch within the Department of Revenue. They're the same people. It's no different than a Honda and an Acura, if you want to use an automobile comparison. And then it says, created to enforce and give the power to punish those who do not pay or fall behind in their payments. All that is stating there is that they have the same power as the state. The state just created them, passed on their power to them, so they can garnish checks, they can give punitive damages, they can seize property. All the powers that the court has, they have. Okay? So then we move on. So what is CSE's powers and limitations? All right, so first bullet says CSE is a third-party entity employed by the state Florida within the court's legal and punitive powers at its disposal. Like I just said, it has all the powers of the state at its disposals. Next bullet, CSE has no statute of limitations for child support. Now this comes to a lot of surprise to people because when they ask me, well, how far back can I get arrears? What's the limitation? CSE, weirdly enough, doesn't have no limitations, whatsoever. So if the child was born and you wasn't there from day one, and then it goes to child support when they're 10 years old, you got 10 years of child support in arrears plus the present payments that you have been ordered to pay. All right. And then right there underneath it is good. It says if placed in arrears, interest will be added. Yes. That is how CSE makes its money, off the interest. It gets a percentage of the interest that is being put on your arrears payments, which is why they almost always try to find arrears and put it on you. Failure to comply with CSE can result in a variety of consequences, not limited to property seizure, monetary fines, and jail time. We all heard the horror stories about what has happened to fathers when they haven't paid child support, didn't know they were on child support, didn't know they have a child, whatever the reason is. If child support has your government information, then they're able to penalize you. Next one, does not need to establish paternity. Name on birth certificate will be used unless proven otherwise. So this is why it's weird to me because when you get court-ordered child support established, their statute of limitations, by the way, is only 2 years. All right, and they're verified, who you are by paternity. There's no doubt that you're the father when you get court-ordered. But as far as CSE, there is doubt because if the mother puts you on the birth certificate, she don't have no contact for you, but they have your name and they're pretty sure you're the right person, they're going to go ahead and garnish your wages. But they don't know for sure if you're the father or anything else. So it's just odd to me that they have no statute of limitations with basically less evidence. But then when you provide all the evidence, they have limited statutes of limitations. So I guess it makes sense in a predator kind of way, because if you take care of your business, I guess, then we can't come after you. But if you don't look into it, we're going to get all the money. And then the last one right there in gray, it says CSE cannot punish either party for not seeing the child or children, but does have the authority to act if the child or children are being withheld from the custodial parent and for lack of child support payments. So all I'm trying to state right there is that child support cannot make anybody see their child. All they can do is make them support them. So that's why child support, I'm really not for it because, yes, you're supporting the child monetarily, but that's it. The father can just pay and not ever be in the child's life, then it'd be perfectly legal. But the mother cannot make the father be in the life. That's as far as it go. So if he just wants to pay child support and he doesn't want to have anything to do with his child, then he probably really doesn't even need the information I'm giving out, because he'll just pay whatever CSE says and go on with his life. But that right there is key at the bottom there, okay? Only monetary. Cannot be forced to see or anything else. Now, though, if you have court-ordered child support established and you're not able to see your child because the other parent is withholding, now something can be done, but just not the other way around. All right. What is court-ordered powers and limitations continued? So, paternity also gets established, like I said. Child support, um, enforcement. They don't establish paternity. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But like I said, in certain circumstances where they can't get a hold of the father, or the paternity is in question, it seems they just take the mother's word. Next bullet: parent mediation and completion of parenting class is required before a judge will hear the case. Failure to complete these requirements by the deadline could result in the guilty party receiving unsatisfactory judgment. Um, all my clients that I have go through this, we're trying to seek joint custody of their children. Okay, you're trying to seek sole custody. You definitely need a lawyer, because it's a lot more in depth, a lot of evidence you have to present as to why you want sole custody. But joint custody is what we're going after. So if you're going after joint custody and the mother does not comply with the requirements, then she would be in default and you will get a satisfactory judgment, meaning that you more than likely will get 50-50 joint custody. I'm not saying you will, can't guarantee, I'm not the judge. I'm just saying this is what could happen for them not doing it. And when you file your motion of default, that is you notifying the court that you want a hearing because the other party has not fulfilled their end of the obligations within the case. You also go over time sharing and joint custody is established. So when you fill out your packet, you go through it. Joint custody has to be established first before you ever can get to child support. But that's a good thing, because you need your rights in the custody of your child. With CSC, you get none of this. Strictly money. Strictly money, strictly money. That is it. Do not care if you're in the child's life. Both parents' incomes will be calculated by the judge using the Florida Child Support Guidelines. Percentage of custody matters here. So the reason why percentage of custody matters is if you have 50-50 split custody, in most cases there is no child support paid because both of you have the child equal number of nights and days throughout the year. But normally, whoever has the child more is the one who receives child support. That's not always the case. You know, it's a case-by-case basis and depending on what state you is. But normally, whoever has more custody gets the child support. So, for instance, if you don't get a straight 50-50 split, you get like a 60-40, which is basically what I have. I'm like right around 60. I get my kids 40% of the time. The mother has them 60. So then I pay child support for it. But I don't pay child support nowhere near what I paid before I got my court ordered and my custodial rights established with my kids. So that's why percent matters. The last one down there says child support recalculations requires both parties to submit most recent income verifications. So this also is a little different than CSE because we all hear the stories where the mother just keeps having the father come back to court. She keeps on wanting to get the income escalated. And that's because child support is doing that on her behalf. She basically has a free attorney. You know, of course, child support wants to get more money. That's more fees and everything else they can accrue on that father and make more money. But when it comes to the court-ordered child support, now you can do the same thing as a father. You can submit your income paperwork. Hey, I believe she's making more money now. I want to get my child support corrected. Or not corrected, adjusted. That's a better term to use, adjusted. You know, so you have more leeway legally on your side to make things happen the same as she would. Okay, and then the last thing here I have is this chart I made. It's just a simple chart just to show you just some basics, pros and cons with CSC compared to court-ordered system. So right there with statute of limitations that we covered earlier, CSC is unlimited. Again, court-ordered is only 2 years. They only can go 2 years back on you, okay? Paternity is required with CSC? No, not necessarily. Court-ordered, yes, that has to be established first along with your parental rights before you ever get to child support calculation. Time sharing is established. Again, I covered with CSE. Time sharing is not established. Yes, they would ask you the questions, but it's almost as if they ask you the questions just to save face because it is not inputted into your child support calculation. And you will see that when you go to court order and judge asks, what is the exact calculation? How is it? When I went there and the lawyer for CSE pulled out the paperwork and showed what they were giving me any exceptions for, I had no exceptions whatsoever for any night. And the judge instantly ordered that my child support be amended right there on the spot because I was not getting the credit for the time I had my children. Again, even though they ask, CSE that is, they do not use it because by law, if you do not have rights to your child, and that's the loophole right there, because you do not have custodial rights or any rights really that matter to your child when he is born. You have to go get it. Once you get court ordered, now by law, they have to take those nights and add it into your child support calculation. All right, then child support payments with consideration of time sharing agreement. Again, we just covered that. No, court ordered is yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one there. So right above child support is arrears owed plus interest. And CSE is yes, up to 18 years. Okay, again, because that goes right there with the statutes and limitations. And again, with court ordered, it is yes, but it's only 2 years max. Okay? And then the last call is protocols in place to hold both parties accountable. CSE, no. There's nothing you can do. With CSE, you have no way to hold nobody accountable. You're just responding. No way to fight back. Court ordered, both parties have to go by the same processes in order to resolve matters. Okay? So I hope this helps explain why you should start your child support case through court ordered versus just paying through this default system of CSE. Hope you can see the value in it. And please submit all your questions in the comments below because I need your questions in order to do the right research and get the right information out there for you all. So I appreciate the time for you watching. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Check Instagram. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. We'll be putting up information on there as well. Guys, until next time, please be blessed. All right? Thank you.